Hello and welcome to today's first lesson on Adobe Premiere. Today we'll be looking at just some of the basics, and that's including importing footage into Premiere and cutting clips down and inserting them into a timeline into an order that we see fit. So first things first, once you've opened Premiere up, we're going to create a new project. When we do that, we're going to name the project up here. So I'm just going to call this tutorial 1. Hopefully if we can spell it properly. And then we're going to press create at the bottom right hand corner here. We don't have to change anything else, that'll be fine. Do that, you should most likely come up with a layout that looks like this. At the moment we've got this learning window in the corner. We don't want that, we can get rid of that, and to do that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rearrange the workspace by selecting window, workspaces and then editing. Obviously if yours already looks like this, then that's fine, but if you do need to rearrange your workspace, just select window, workspaces and then editing, and that will reset the workspace into this default layout, and that's going to work best for us today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to import some footage. So I have got some footage ready. So if you're following along with this in a class, you'll find this on the O drive in Practice Task and Camelot. And if you're using Premiere for the first time, I would advise you to make sure you drag Practice Task 1, this folder here, within that Camelot folder. I'm going to drag and drop that down into this bottom left hand window here and then let go. And that will import that folder's contents into this window. So this window here is where we're going to be importing our footage. Now we can switch here with these buttons here between list view and thumbnail view. What I'm going to go through today will be purely in the list view. I just find it easier to see all the information I need to know. With thumbnail, it works exactly the same way, but it just gets a bit more complicated in terms of fitting everything in the same window. So if you want to use that list thumbnail view, that's fine, or icon view as Premiere calls it. But I'm just going to be going through everything in list view. So when it's in list view, I'm going to open the contents of this folder by selecting this triangle here, and then that opens up more folders in there. So I'm going to be showing you the shots that we're going to be editing today and how we're going to be editing them. So in the shots folder, I'm going to open that up, and I've got a list of shots I've named myself, and I've organised these folders myself as well as. And what we're going to do to open one of these shots, one of these clips, we're just going to double click the little icon there. If you're on thumbnail view, all you have to do is just double click the icon or the thumbnail. And when we double click it, it appears in this window here at the top left. And I can play that back up here. And I can see that the contents of this clip. So these clips you'll have to familiarise yourselves with so you understand what clips needs to go next. But for now, we're just going to start editing this clip, and I'm just going to show you how to do that. So a lot of this footage you can see, some of it's wobbly, some of it's out of focus. We only want to use a certain part of this shot. So because I'm starting off with shot 1, we're going to start off with this part where he runs away from outside or from behind this tree here. And if I move this blue marker to where I want it to start, I'm going to select this little, what we call an in point or a little open bracket symbol. I'm going to press that, and it puts a marker on this section of the clip here. And I'm going to move this marker to where I want the clip to end, and then I'm going to close the bracket, or what we call an out point. And then you can see here it's partitioned off that section of the clip. Now with that in mind, what we're going to do, basically I've told Premiere that this is the section of the clip that I want to use. I'm going to move a mouse so it's on top of our video footage, and I'm going to click, hold and drag. I'm going to drop it into this bottom right hand window and let go. When I let go, it creates a timeline based on the properties of this clip that I've just put in there. And I can play back whatever's in this timeline in this window here. So if I press play, you can see that it's just showing me the clip that I've just put in there, that I've just edited down. So it's not the entire clip, it's just this section here that I've put in the timeline. So this timeline I can move along the time, so when I put more clips in, you'll be able to move along this. And if you select the end of the bar here at the bottom, I can make that make me zoom out of the timeline so I can see more of the stuff that's in there, or if I need to zoom out so it's a bit zoom in so it's a bit closer, I can do that as well as. So I'm going to show you again. So I'm going to go for shot 2 this time.
Yeah.
The first shot I forgot to put the microphone on, so this shot here will also a bit of sound on there as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this in one take because it might be a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously some of this where is bits he's not acting, so I'm going to move this to where I want it to start. So I'm going to start when he's mid-run, so not when he's about to start, but he's already mid-run. It's best for continuity. Open bracket, close bracket, or in and out. I'm going to drag that, and this time I'm going to put it so it's side by side next to the clip that I've already got in there. So not above it here, not on top of it, so it's side by side, connected, not over here, but connected to the clip that I've got in there. So when I let go, I can play that back. Now you can see here that I've got him jumping over the counter there, and then I've got him jumping over the counter again. So the continuity isn't correct there. Now, because I've made that mistake, I don't have to go back into here and adjust it. I can still adjust it in the timeline. I'm just going to select the clip, move the mouse to the end of it, click, hold and drag, and I can adjust this to where I want the clip to really end. And I can see on the right hand side the clip where the clip that comes after it starts instead. So I can kind of time that so the continuity is correct from one clip to the other. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to rejoin these two clips together. I'm going to play that back now, and the continuity is now correct. So what I want you guys to do is make sure that you are putting these shots in an order that you see fit. So you can put it into shot order if you want to. You might put them in your own order. It's up to you. There's an additional shot as well that you might want to put in there, slot in there somewhere. But you need to make sure you put all these shots in here, and then I'll rejoin in a second. Okay, so once you've got a few clips in your timeline, I'm just going to show you a few other little things you need to be aware of. So when we're bringing our clips in, so let's just go for a random shot here. When I'm bringing in a clip, you'll notice that it's bringing in two rectangular blocks. That top rectangular block represents the video, and the bottom rectangular block represents the audio. So it's the video from the clip and the audio from the clip that I'm bringing in. Now maybe I only want to take in the video without the sound. Now to do that, instead of clicking and dragging from here, you can just select the drag video only icon here. So when you hover it over, it actually says it on the screen. Click, hold and drag, and you'll notice it's only dragging the video and no audio with it. And you can do the same, but vice versa with the audio. Say maybe you only want the audio from a clip, you might want to use it for a voiceover or something like that. So if you select the drag audio only icon here, when you hover over it says that, drag, drop, and that will only drag the audio for that clip, and that'll just put the audio in. Okay, and when you're putting it in, you can only put video layers or video clips on video layers and audio clips on audio layers. And when I say video layers and audio layers, when I say layer, I mean these lines that you can see here. So you can see it says V1, V2 and V3, and A1, A2 and A3. They stand for video and audio layers. So you can only put an audio clip on an audio layer and a video clip on a video layer. And that's how it works in Premiere. So with that in mind, let's have a look at some audio that we can put into our clip. So we're going to look into audio here, and I've created a folder here that says audio. I'm going to open that up. And you can see I've created, you've got a few audio sounds there, and I've got a folder that says music. So I'm going to go to the music folder here. I've got 4 different pieces of music here, and you can have a little listen to those pieces of music. They're all very different in sound. I'm just going to choose the first one here and double click that, and it pops up in this window just the same as it would do with video. And I can play this back in exactly the same way. And listening to this now, you can probably tell that this doesn't really sound like an action-packed piece of music that will go well with our action-packed sequence that we've edited together. We can see here later on that the music gets a bit louder, so I'm going to move the marker to where it gets a bit louder and press play. And this sounds a lot better. So what I'm going to do is going to move that marker to where I think it should start. I'm going to open bracket in exactly the same way. going to move it there for now and close bracket. So you can see I've partitioned off that section of the audio, and I'm going to do the same thing, but you'll notice it will not let me drag this clip into our timeline, and that's because there's no video to drag in. So I'm going to select the audio only symbol there. I'm going to drag that and I'm going to drop that onto our timeline. Now it's important to mention that when I do that, it's got to go onto a separate layer in our timeline. You cannot put it on a layer that has audio already there, because if you cover it up, it will delete that audio. And if you move that again, you can see there's no audio. So that's the audio from the clips it will remove. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's on a separate layer here in the timeline. And that way I can hear both the music and the sound from the clips. Okay, that sounds good so far. So I'm going to put a sniper rifle sound effect in there. So I'm going to double click that. I'm going to play that back now. And to be honest, that doesn't really need editing. It seems to be fine as it is. So I could just drag it in straight like that, or I can actually drag it in straight from here as well as, and we're just going to plonk that into our timeline there. And again, I'm putting it on a separate layer as well as, because if I put that on the music layer, it will remove the music from that part of the clip where the sniper rifle sound is. So it needs to make sure that is also its own separate layer. I can double that up and put different sound effects on the same layer, but as long as it's not covering another one up, it won't delete anything that's there. Now I'm going to play that back. So I would say the sound from the gunshot is a bit too loud, and the sound from the clips themselves is a bit too loud compared to the music. So a quick way to adjust the volume is to simply just move your mouse between the two layers that you want to adjust. Click, hold and drag and open it up a bit. So it's made it a bit bigger, that particular layer. But now I can see a white line where the audio is. And that white line is the volume. So this is the quickest way to quickly adjust the volume. There's multiple ways you can adjust volume. This is the quickest way. And all you have to do is just select that white line there, click, hold and drag and move it up or down. So bringing it down will completely mute that clip. But I'm just going to move it so it's slightly down. So it just slightly reduces the volume there. I'm going to do the same for the gunshot. I'm going to play that back now. And the audio levels seem a lot better. So I would advise you to have a listen to the sound yourself. Have a listen to the different music tracks and see what works best for your sequence. What I would also advise is you press Ctrl S and be aware of the ability to press Ctrl S on the keyboard. And pressing Ctrl S will save your work wherever it's saved to. It's important to be aware this does not save automatically after everything you do on it. If you don't press Ctrl S every 5 or 10 minutes, if it crashes, you will lose your work. So get into the rhythm of pressing Ctrl S every now and then just to save your work. It does auto save every now and then, but it's not all the time. So please be aware, if you do a massive amount of work in a short space of time, you may lose all that work if you do not save it manually. Just make sure where you're saving it, you can also go to File, Save As. I would recommend you save your project to the O drive rather than the computer itself. So that saves the project file to the O drive. That way, if your computer dies or anything like that, we've got a way of backing your work up as well as. And then when you press Ctrl S on the keyboard, that will just save it to the O drive every time. So that concludes the first part of this Adobe Premiere tutorial. Join me for the next part where we'll cover effects and a few other little bits as well as.